Former NFL quarterback, former Sun Devil QB, Rudy Carpenter joins us right now. You can follow him at Rudy G Carp 12 on Twitter or X. Rudy, it's Jimmy B and Manuch along with Jax. Welcome, Rudy, as always. Let me pick your brain right from the get-go then. Joshua Dobbs, how good did he play in yesterday's game, in your estimation, as the starting quarterback of the Cards?
I thought he played really well, to be honest with you. He protected the football, did a good job finding completions, putting the ball in play, letting his guys work. And then obviously he did a really good job himself in the run game. And like you heard him say, considering all of the situations and, circumstances that he's been through, I thought he did a really, really nice job yesterday, especially against what everybody thought was supposed to be a really, really good defense.
And I thought he got a little scat in him there a little bit too, that little bootleg naked boot coming around that side of Micah Parsons. And Rudy, I always think that when you do that early on in a game and you do a handoff prior to, and then you come right back to, you must see something on tape that they see Parsons doing. But I thought that was kind of like, okay, we're here to let it rip. And I was surprised he got a little more speed than I thought he did.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you run the outside zone one way, if you see the backside defensive end or outside linebacker on the line of scrimmage crashing down really hard and making a tackle on the backside of that run play, that's when a lot of times the coaches will call the naked bootleg out the other way. I don't know, if that's what they saw. Obviously, I'm not watching the game film, but typically, that's how it works. And Josh did a good job with the fake and a good job with the run. I think the other thing he did a good job with the run was finishing, right? Yes. He could have stepped out of bounds a couple times and maybe not taken a hit, but he did a good job of maximizing all of the yards he could get. And for a guy who's in his position and trying to earn the respect of his coaches and teammates and organization, I thought that was obviously a really big play in the game.
Yeah, I thought 222 yards rushing, 182 in that first half. I think kind of set everything up, but I really felt that Drew Petzing, the way he utilized Rondale Moore, finally, coming out of the backfield on a few, I call a few slip screens, and then for Hollywood Brown getting the ball to him. I thought this was more of a balanced attack, and maybe a lot of that is because he's comfortable with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback, being able to make those throws or make the reads that he wants him to.
Yeah, I think all that is true, but at the end of the day, I think the most true thing is that anytime you get the run game going, it really, really helps. You watch the Dolphins play, and when they get the run game going, they're able to throw the ball all over the yard because they're able to create single safety defensive schemes. You watch the Kansas City Chiefs, and when they get the run game going, they're able to throw the ball all over the yard because it sets up their play action pass. And again, they're throwing against single high safety. And so I think for the Arizona Cardinals, it's the same. You get the run game going, you force them to bring more guys down into the box to play the run. And when you do that, you're obviously softer in the back end with your coverage. You have less guys in coverage, and it makes it easier to attack downfield for explosive plays. And when you talk about turnovers being a differentiator in a game, they are. When you talk about special teams plays and special teams touchdowns being difference makers in games, they are. But explosive plays are also a really big, difference maker in a game. And the Cardinals finally had some of those explosive plays this week that really can determine the outcome of the game.
Rudy, I want to get your thoughts before we move on to the Sun Devils about Dak Prescott. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing the mental growth for this young man and coming from behind the pick in the playoff game against San Fran, that pick in the end zone late in the game. I hate to say this, but he's a very good front-running quarterback. I'm just not seeing the growth in him moving forward when he's got to lead a team down the field and blatantly, I don't know, just not see what's in front of him at times. That's just my opinion. I just want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. When they started out 2-0 and they were playing well, everybody loved Dak Prescott. And I think that's also, part of the problem about being the starting quarterback in Dallas is you're always in primetime situations. You're going to get a lot of scrutiny, and I'm sure that's something that he's used to, and that is what it is. You're always judged based on wins and losses as an NFL quarterback, and I think the scrutiny is extra large in Dallas, and so that's just part of it. But yeah, I mean, he threw a lot of interceptions last year, even though he missed some games. I think he still led the league in interceptions, so you can't do that. And then on top of that, it's like every time you think Dak has turned the corner, and every time you think he might be the player that everyone thinks he he's going to be, or maybe showed to be at some point in time, then all of a sudden he has a blunder like this. And I think it's a little sucky for him, because people look at the Arizona Cardinals and think they're tanking and that they're playing for the first pick and they're just an awful team. And look, they're 1-2. But at the end of the day, this is a team that, really could be 3-0 very easily. And they're playing hard for their head coach and their GM. And so I think, you really got to respect that.
I'm with you on that. And I think the Bears, there's no question they are the worst team in the National Football League by a long way. Chicago is. All right, let's move now to the college game and what we witnessed with Arizona State and also with USC. I'm telling you right now, and I know we're not odds makers, but we do discuss lines. And when it came out at over 30 points, I think a lot of people thought that ASU was just going to get destroyed. So my question to you is, Rudy, as a quarterback, what did you see from Pine that was so different in that game against USC that wasn't there when he entered the game against Fresno State?
Well, I thought they were going to get destroyed too. I wasn't confident enough to put any money on it and bet on it. But look, I don't. It's really hard to say, because the offense, they still gave up a lot of sacks and they still
3
turned
minutes
the ball over. I think he probably has some comfortability playing against USC because he's played against them before and had success, and he's not scared. But I also think probably the play calling of Kenny Dillingham probably mattered, right? Like I think Kenny took over the play calling, and I'm not bashing Bo Baldwin or anybody else, but I think Kenny just has a better feel for how he wants this offense to run and how he wants this offense to be called and how he wants it to be executed. And with him calling plays, I think it's probably a little bit better for this team.
Already I mentioned that a little bit earlier, the creativity, the motion. You having Scatterbo pretty much, at a Wildcat doing his thing, throwing a couple of passes. In reference to that, 2 for 3 passes to be exact. But you're right. I saw a little more creativity, a little more off-balance defense. And, he's called plays against this USC team when he was at Oregon. But I just saw a little more set, a little more maybe continuity with the offense in Friday and Saturday night's game.
Yeah, I think that could be true. I mean, also, Drew Pine being in this offense longer and having a better understanding of how it's supposed to execute and what he's supposed to do, I think that probably helps too, right? I think all of it matters. It'll be interesting to see, what these guys do the rest of the year. I feel bad for Kenny and ASU in the sense they just have so many injuries, and they especially have them up front. It just makes it so difficult to call plays.
Rudy Carpenter is our guest on the Right Toyota guest line. One final question then. So even though they did not win the game in college football, is the coach telling his team, look, you can play with the big boys even though they lost? Is it an emotional mind win for ASU or not?
Look, here's the unfortunate.
1 minute, 1 minute.
Look, when I used to sit in these meeting rooms and coaches would come in and give like some victory, or some speech about moral victories, I used to just shake my head and be like, I'm just someone that doesn't believe in moral victories. It's so ridiculous. You're just making yourself and your coaching staff feel better about the terrible job that everybody is doing. So that is what it is. And then all of a sudden I started coaching football teams, and I found myself doing that every time that we lost. And I was like, man, I can't believe I'm into moral victories now. So look, at the end of the day, I mean, every team is different. Every season is different. And I think Kenny probably feels like, man, we are at a major disadvantage regarding our personnel, regarding the situation that we got put in with the NCAA issues, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he's just trying, and then they have the injuries. I think he's just trying everything he can to keep this team, fighting, and to keep this team, fighting on his behalf and playing hard. And he's trying to put something on tape that everybody can be proud of, even if they're losing games. And I think, even though they lost this USC game, I think there's probably a lot that coaching staff can find that they can be happy and proud of. But at the end of the day, I mean, you're still losing. and that's no fun.
Rudy, thank you as always, pal. You have a great day. Enjoy it.
All right, guys, take care.
There you go, Rudy Carpenter, former NFL Sun Devil QB. His breakdown of the Cardinals upset over